Hello, my loves. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of A Quick Pit Stop here. I am just going to open this up and make sure that I have anybody that wants to engage and say any comments or questions. But if you are catching me live, let me know that you're here and say hi because I always love to check in. And if you're catching the replay of this and it's been a while since we have chatted, just say hi that you're here. Let me know that you're checking in with me. I am so grateful to have you back. If you're one of my OGs, let me know. Let me know you're here. So amazing. Amazing to be here with you guys and to have another quick pit stop episode. This is the first one of 2024. Crazy, crazy. I have been kind of putting this one off just because I know I wanted to wait till we kind of got through the initial launch of 2024. I really I don't want to use the word hate, but I really dislike trying to push things and force new things when we're kind of in a new phase, right? So we're we're fresh coming into 2024. A lot of people those first few days are like, "Oh, let's go. I'm going to start my new workout program. I'm going to do this." And we have all these audacious goals, which are beautiful. And I'm going to get to in a second. But we tend to burn out because we go so hard in those first few days that we're like, well, I can't sustain this for the entire 12 months, 365 days of the year. Right. And so this idea, and I believe this is a leap year. So there's like a whole extra day in there. Right. So regardless, like it's not sustainable. And so it's this idea of let me ease in. Let me walk into 2024 strong, coming off of the end of the year, knowing that I did everything and I pushed myself to the end. Let me come in and I'm not going to pump the brakes, but I'm going to coast because all the things that I've done that last half, last quarter, last little bit of the end of the year has propelled me into this new year so that I can kind of just ease in, right? And then we ease in these first couple weeks where like we get our mind right, we get all the gunk and muck from those couple weeks of like the holidays, we kind of get that all out and now we're here. We're ready. We're halfway through almost of January and we're ready to say, you know what? I have kind of coasted and I'm ready for this momentum to now scale. So, with all that said, today we're going to go into manifesting. We're going to go into goal setting. I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm going to keep it brief. And if you want more engagement with me, if you want more one-on-one, let me know, reach out, DM me, email me. You can always email us over at thislife'sthepits@gmail if you are interested in just learning more about things in the episodes in the podcast, or if you want to work in a different level, let me know. So on December 6th of 2023, I put out in a quick pit stop just manifestation and vision casting. So you can go back and listen to that episode. We're going to get a little bit more detailed here today. Again, we're going to go over just the basics just because everybody's individualized. So if you're looking for an individualized plan, obviously that's where coaching one-on-one comes into play. If you're looking for group accountability, I do offer those as well. So check those out. But what I want to say is you can check that episode out. Also, episode 73 of This Life's the Pits podcast goes over that same content. So you can pop over to either one if you like to look at it live. You can view me on YouTube or on the podcast or on the here on This Life's the Pits over on Insta. Or if you are looking just to listen to it, you can hit up the podcast. Either way, or both. Feel free, whatever is your fancy, y'all. So today I'm going to show you, I'm going to share my screen. So if you're listening today on the podcast, you might want to pop over to YouTube or to Instagram where this is shown live, where this is shown visual. So you can kind of get an idea of how I operate in this and how you can implement this, right? So first and foremost, what I want to show you is how I take my thoughts, ideas, goals, how I organize them, and then how I put them into a vision board, and then how I organize it within my calendar. All right. So, um, guys, I use just a literally like few dollar notebook. I don't get super fancy. I just don't. This is as fancy as I get. I think this was like $2 at the store. Some people have amazing, beautiful notebooks. I like ones with beautiful covers. Yes, that's great. But what I choose to do is I get something that's representative. Look at this is so funny. But again, if you're listening to the podcast, you're not going to see this, but the cover of my notebook, yes, it's boring because it's just a plain, notebook, but I get one that matches the kind of the vibe of how I'm feeling for this quarter, for the year, whatever. And going into 2024, blue, there's like a whole realm of like prosperity, wealth, growth that all represents the like blue chakra, if you will, which I know is super woo, but that is why I've chosen this. And then I just like add things from my kids and little sayings and stuff. So if you want to get super fancy, you can. You don't have to, guys. So what I want to show you is how I operate within goal setting. Okay. Now, this has taken me a couple years to kind of narrow in. But what I have done is gone through and kind of looked at my calendar at a glance and made sure that I am really settling in on my family time, my me time, my social time, and my career time, right? So I'm going to show you, I literally draw 4 quadrants on my paper, right? And I'm going to label them family, me. Well, this is like sense of self, right? Growth and sense of self, family, career, social, right? So I'm going to put those 4 boxes, if you will. And then within there, I'm just going to put goals, right? So I'm going to jot down. Now, I've already done this, so I'm not going to go over it. I'm not going to, show you all of mine, but I can give you some examples. Like I will say, I want to do, well, like from last year, right? From 2023, one of my biggest goals was to travel once a month. Okay. Big or small. So I had at least a new experience once a month that was outside of my like hometown per se, right? And so if you look back on some of my posts, you'll see some of those amazing experiences that I had. And the reason for this was for me to expand. Okay. When we expand in who we are, when we are experiencing a new culture or something new in a new city or a new experience, even if it's an hour away from us, right, where our hometown is, where we live every day and we're kind of operating in this hamster wheel, when we get outside of that and we experience something different, it expands who we are. It allows us to see the world in a different way, in a different light. And so when we expand, we grow, we learn, and we take in new ways of thinking, new ways of behaving. And then we can bring them to our people. We can bring them socially. We can bring them to our family. We can bring that to our career, right? Now, this goal of mine to travel once a month was originally in my sense of self because I wanted to expand me. I wanted to learn more about me. I wanted to go into new experiences that grew me. But what I found was a lot of these I wanted to do with my family. So it ended up in the family quadrant. And then I realized, wow, for my career, this really expands my career because I'm learning different cultures and I'm learning different ways of life and I'm seeing different things and experiencing, my anxiety in a different way and I'm pushing through some of that anxious way of living and so it's really helping my career. And then socially, I'm able to share that with my friends, and it's a different version of me. I'm able to do different things in my social atmosphere that's bringing a better version of me as a friend, and thus a better engagement and a better connection with my friends. So really, this one goal fits into all four categories, and that's the beauty of when we can find a goal that is in two or more categories within our life, within the foundations of our life that make us who we are. That is the main focus. That is going to be a top priority goal for us, right? So we can look at, in our career, do we want to move up the ladder? Do we want to make more money? Do we want to give ourselves a raise? All of those things, right? Like put those all in the career goal. And then family, you want to take more trips. You want to spend more time one-on-one with each other. You want to, I don't know, get engaged, get married, get whatever, have a kid. Um, what are the goals you have, right? In your family, you want to buy a home, do whatever, right? Socially, do you want to expand your friendship? Do you want to put energy into the current relationships you have? Do you want to make sure that you have more experiences with your friends? So this goal, a goal of mine that I have in my social circle this year is to have once a month at least a one-on-one time with a friend that's not related to career or those kind of things. That's just like, I'm setting up a coffee date or a lunch date, or we're going to go out and walk, or we're going to do something right together. I already actually have two of those booked for January, which is wild to me, but that's a goal I have. It with at least one friend once a month, I'm setting up a date just one-on-one, right? That's a goal. I'm pouring energy into the people in my world socially, right? To expand me. That's a goal I have. So really looking at this, and this can grow, right? You can have this in one spot and you can continue to add to it. I do this all the time. I'm like, oh yeah, that would be a really great goal. And I add it, right? It doesn't mean that it's going to come to fruition right this second, but it's something that you're putting on there, right? So don't be afraid for these to be like huge, audacious goals, guys. Like I have this family and sense of self goal, right? So it's more than one area of my life. I have these two goals that I want to go to Italy and I want to experience that with my family. Another goal, sense of self goal, I want to travel to Thailand. I want to I want to do it in a missionary way. There's some things that I have that I've researched, and I want to experience that culture, and I want to engage with the atmosphere and the way of living there. I want to I want to ride an elephant. I want to experience that. Like crazy, audacious, weird goal, right? But that's something that I know would expand me beyond measure, right? Is that going to happen tomorrow? Is that going to happen next year? I don't know, but it's on my list of sense of self because I know that that's going to expand me in ways that other things just won't, right? So I have these written out. I have them all written out. And now what I do is I take these and I say, okay, I highlight or I circle the ones that are in that fall into two or more categories, and those are going to be my priority goals, right? So focusing on 3 to 5, no more than 10. All right. So this is a rule of thumb. I focus on 3 to 5 goals at a time. I usually try to have one for each quadrant. So I have a career goal, a sense of self goal, a social goal, and a family goal that I have. Within that, I break it out where I have a faith, sense of self, faith in myself of growth, a financial, a fitness, and then that family again, right? Like that just sense of community within my immediate family. So really looking at that and saying, okay, where do these cross over? Where like that one goal that I had to travel, it really fell into all of those quadrants for me, right? And so that was a top priority. And guess what? I hit that goal, guys. I went somewhere new every single month. Sometimes it was to an event that was an hour and a half away. And I traveled all the way to Europe, 4 different countries. Right? Wild, huge, audacious goal, right? But it happened because I was so focused on just those few goals. I wasn't like, these are all the things I have to accomplish this year. It was, these are the few goals that I know that are going to hit each category, and this is my priority. And so when it comes to that, if you think of yourself, right, think of you've got 10 soccer balls on a soccer field. I don't play soccer, y'all. I'm not a eye foot coordination kind of gal, but just stay in this with me. Okay. You got 10 soccer balls. If you give one huge audacious kick to each soccer ball, and your object is your goal is to try to score, right? Obviously, the chances of you actually, if you're at the 50-yard line, the chances of you actually kicking it in, unless you're like really great at soccer, which I am not, are small, right? If you get 10 kicks and you kick one each, you're only gonna get maybe, as close to the goal as you can. Chances are you're not gonna hit the goal. But if you take one or two or three of those soccer balls and you kick them each a few times, you're gonna score, right? You're gonna hit that goal. And so this is what I mean by taking this and narrowing it in. If you have all four of these areas and you've got 15 goals in each area, that's beautiful. Don't get discouraged by that. But look at this and say, how can I combine some of those to create one goal, right? And what are my top ones? What are the ones that really are hitting two or more quadrants in my life? Right? These quadrants make up those four pillars of our life that I talk about: family, sense of self, our social, and our career. Those are the four things that make us whole, right? Now, some of you are in school too, or in school and not in a career yet, but keep those in the same house, right? So, school and career, social, sense of self, and family. Those pillars are what make us who we are. And so we're always want a goal in each, right? So sometimes one goal is going to go across all four of those. So just know you want 3 to 5, no more than 10. Okay. We just can't realistically, unless you're really, really good, kick all 10 of those goals into the soccer goal and actually get all 10 in, right? Like we really want to focus on a few to get that goal met. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you a couple different things. The first thing I'm going to show you is how I create my vision board that's then getting into my subconscious, which I'm going to go over that briefly. And then I'm going to share with you my calendar. All right. So I'm going to try to do this quick, guys. I want to keep this brief. I like these quick pit stops to be pretty brief. So here is, and some of you have seen this in other programs that I've run, or other maybe lives that I've done. I know some of my one-on-one clients have seen this a few times, and we work on this together drastically. But I want you to just briefly look at my 2024 vision board. Okay. Now you can do this in various different ways. My kids and I do this and sit down and cut up things sometimes and write out things on poster board. They hang them outside their room or have them in their room. We started doing this in December, and we'll be adding this in January. I know my youngest is saying like, hey mom, I want to do more of the vision board stuff. And so we really have to make the time to sit down and do that, which we are working on. So with that said, you can bring your kids into this, you can bring your husband into this, or your significant other, really make it a holistic family affair that like, these are my goals. These are the things I'm working towards. I share this with my kids all the time. My husband is well aware of the things and the goals that I have. Sometimes he thinks I'm crazy, and sometimes he's like, yeah, that's a really good idea, but how are you going to make that happen? And again, we don't always need to know the how. It's just, this is what it is. And when we are so just passionate about it because it's heading up every area of our life, there's no way it's not going to happen. Like, we're going to make it happen. The goal I had to travel once a month in the year 2023, like in January, was like, how the hell am I going to do that? until I did it. And then I'm like, how the hell did I do that? Because it was a focus of mine. Not every day, not every second, but I'm going to share with you how this gets into our system. So, in looking at this, I'm going to point out some key things for me, right? Again, I have written out all of these goals. Some of these are goals that are going to come to fruition throughout this year. Some of these are goals that I'm working on building this year that are going to come into fruition in years to come, right? So, for those of you that don't know this or don't know these things, I'm going to share with you some of the big audacious things. So we have a goal of traveling to Italy together as a family. So I have, some pictures of Italy, some pictures that represent Italy. I have, passport and just a map over here of the world just to represent that. Um, I have a goal again to run the half marathon this year. So I have just a picture of, running to kind of keep that in the forefront. I have let's see, how do I want to share this? Because I'm going to let the cat out of the bag here. But we are building a community, right? So I have a picture over here of community, and we are working towards doing a retreat this year. So I have a picture of that. Um, there's a lot of things I'm going to share today, guys, that a lot of people don't know, but I think it's all good, right? I am in the process of writing a book, so I have books over here and writing over here to the right. Um, I read, I believe it was 58 books last year. I had a goal to read 50 books last year, so I surpassed that. So I have a goal to read at least that this year. And so I have a picture there. This picture of a sunflower, I love sunflowers. They are my favorite. And this is a picture my husband had sent me last year when he like randomly, was running and found a sunflower patch and sent that to me. So it's just a reminder to just like soak in those little wins and those little beautiful things that the universe is just sending us, those little like magical moments. Um, and as you can see, I have pictures of my friends and my family in the center to really represent like they are my world, they are my center, they are my why. I have, like I said, riding an elephant over here. I have this picture of me sailing through the Danube River, which is just a reminder to always be looking downstream, always be looking at the beauty that is ahead of us and soak in the moment that we are in, be present in that. So, yeah, so this is my vision board right now as it stands. Now, I at this point, I'm not going to share with you all of my vision boards, but what I am going to say, just because that will take a long time, but I wanted you to see that there's something for each quadrant, right? There's friendship stuff, there's career stuff. I don't know if you noticed, but there was I had a dollar amount goal on there. I had a number on there of how many people that I want to connect with this year to share their stories on the podcast. So I have these like very career driven goals that are SMART goals, which I'll go into in a second, but they're there. They're on my vision board. In years prior, I have had other vision boards that have represented different things. And I will say to you, since 2022, so I've been doing this all of 2022, all of 2023, very strategically, which I'm sharing with you right now, this process that I've done the past couple years. And I've done it in numerous ways previous to that. But for this last 2 years, 90% of the things that I have on my vision board have come true, have come to fruition. 90% at least. So my first vision board in 2021, I put all these things on there in January. By June, I had completed them all. And shout out to Jess Lynn. At the time, I was working with her as my mentor, and she's like, girl, you gotta dream bigger. Like you're already checking off all these things. So that's where this big like Italy and going to Budapest and, sailing the Danube River and going to Thailand, like all these big things started to come to my mind. And so I started to write them all down as these experiences that would expand me. Well, I did the Danube River. I went to Budapest, amongst other places. Um, right now I'm like, wow, I can see myself going to Italy. I can see myself going to Thailand. Like these things could happen for me because I've made them happen and I've manifested them previous, right? So don't be afraid to put something drastic and audacious on here that may not come to fruition this year, but you are building yourself to that, right? Don't discount that it could happen this year, but if it doesn't, it's not because you failed. It's because this dream is so big, it's going to take time to compound. Okay. So you can see some things on here are really big, audacious. Some things on here are just like, I want to run the half marathon. So I'm going to build up my body and my stamina, right? I'm going to work on my fitness. I'm going to have faith in myself. My family is very well aware and working out with me and wants to do things alongside me, right? My friends are aware. These are things that are hitting those buckets. Okay. So that is that for the vision board. Now, why is it so important? And I spoke to this in previous episodes, in that our RAS, our reticular activating system, right? It's a piece of our brain. I'm not going to go into it in great detail because I've spoken on it before, but that piece of our brain is really the one that the spot in the brain that is focusing on these goals. When we have a vision board. Now, again, I have this as my background on my computer. I have this on my background and on my phone. Okay. So I'm not necessarily consciously aware of these goals every day, all day, every second, right, of every minute. But what is happening is my eyes are seeing these little triggers, right? And it's taking it into my subconscious. And our subconscious is always working to make things happen. Always, right? So the RAS is responsible for motivation, it's responsible for arousal, it's responsible for activation, it's responsible for all of that stuff. Okay. So when we look at this, it's like if you say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to save up money and I'm going to go get myself a red Corvette. That is it. This is my goal. We have it on a vision board, all the things. That's it. We do the research. This is it. I'm getting a red Corvette. Come hell or high water, by this date, this is what I'm doing. And then we get in our car and we drive into work and we see 12 red Corvettes on the way to work. And we're like, you're the flip? Have these, did God, did the universe just like drop these? And like, where did they come from? I haven't seen one in a year. And now I'm like seeing them everywhere. They didn't just appear out of thin air. They've always been there. But your RAS is so tapped in. Your subconscious is so tapped into your desire and your goal that it's working out ways for you to find that thing that you want. And so you're seeing it, right? It's wild. It's wild how this works. When you have a desire, when you have stepped into this is the goal, this is the thing I want, your brain, when you commit, your brain makes a way for it to happen, right? But we have to put that on the vision board. We have to be so clear that this is what we want, because if we're not clear, believe me, I've done it, we're going to be wishy-washy on it. We're going to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back and be like, I guess I didn't want it that bad, right? But if we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, we're like, oh no, I want this. So, and then we take 5 steps forward, right? So it's this idea of like, we will make a way if we want it that bad. Okay. So that is why vision casting, vision boarding, having just, and again, this took me 15 minutes, guys. I know when I first started out creating these, I used Canva. And I use the free portion of it. It doesn't cost a thing. Download the app, play around with it. I'm getting this like ball of sun in my face here, guys. I'm gonna just shift. But use that app and it's free. You can just download pictures of yourself, pictures of your family, pictures that you've taken, or just pictures that the app actually already has. There's thousands of pictures they have access to in there. So Again, I know it seems like, oh, I'm taking time to create something that's like not worth it. To me, when I tell you for the past 2 years, anything I have ever put in, anything I have ever put into my vision board has either come true or I am closer to it coming true than ever before. Okay. 90%, I have looked at my stuff, I've done the research. 90% of the things that I've put on my vision board have come to fruition for me. All right. That is you too. But when we're not focused on it, when we're just willy-nilly throwing shit in the wall and seeing what sticks, there's margin for error. There's room for error there. When we're like, no, these are the things I'm committed to, we're all in, right? We're not 1 foot in, 1 foot out. We're all in. This is what we're doing. Now, with all that said, I'm going to share my screen to show you my calendar. Now, what I'm going to show here is very quick. What I want you to recognize is the color code, and then I'm going to go into that a little bit more in detail. And I'm gonna show you kind of how I really track my time with this, right? How I devote the time to each quadrant of my life. Okay. So I'm going to just share this very briefly. Kind of give you a quick idea of what this looks like. So again, here, right, is my calendar. Now, you can see that what I'm looking at here is not just my work schedule, but I have in here strategically when I'm going to work out and run my long runs. Some of them are up higher. But I have in here strategically when I am going to do my podcast episodes or my CEO days, right? Now, what I want you to take note of in this is I have very specific color coding. Now, for some people, and again, this took me a little bit of getting used to, but for me, like, yes, I have really high anxiety. So a lot of this can be like, right? And so if you have ADHD, you're ping-ponging through all of these colors, right? So like it can throw you for a loop, but if you can find a way to create this for yourself. So yellow is family. Pink is my private practice. Okay. Then I have like a purple color that's my coaching and podcast business. Okay. Then I have purple is for me, personal. Okay. Now, outside of that, my kids each have a color. My husband has a color, right? So if they've got an event, if they've got, wrestling or golf or Odyssey of the Mind or football or baseball or whatever, right? Like their schedule is in there. Same with my husband when he has meetings or things, right? Like he's in there. So I know, okay, I've got to be available for the kids if he's gone, or I've got an event for the kids. I can't schedule anything during this time, right? All of that. But what I pay very close attention to is if I have 0 yellow in a week time frame and it's all pink and purple, I mean pink and light purple, that means I'm doing a lot of career work and not much family time. If I have 0 dark purple in a week, that means I have 0 me time and I'm doing too much career and maybe some more family, right? So I'm going to be honest, balance, when you're fully balanced, is bullshit. Okay, it's a facade, it's not real. Think of yourself as like a gymnast. We are always balancing, right? It's a constant ebbs and flow of life. And that's okay. There are going to be weeks where I work 40 hours. I don't really ever work 40 hours, guys, so I'm not going to go there, but maybe like 25 to 30 hours. And maybe I have 10 hours of family. There are weeks where I have 100 hours of family and I have maybe 10 hours of work, right? So it's really looking at, okay, am I on vacation this week? Am I taking time off? Am I, front loading a ton of clients in the front end of the week so that I can spend time in the back end of the week, right? Like it's being mindful of that, but the goal is to take your priority, the quadrants that you've created, your goals, and go and say, okay, I have 3 priority goals. These are my top 3 goals that I am working towards in 2024. And you create space in your calendar for that. If one goal is that you're spending, you know, more time with family, you got to create that in your calendar and then backfill everything else. If your goal this year is to start a business, you got to make time to work in the business, not on the business, but in the business, and then backfill everything else, right? So if your goal is to travel once a month, you've got to create space for that and be a little bit planful in that and then backfill, right? So it's really looking at like if I have a goal to run the half marathon, I'm not going to go out tomorrow and be able to run 13 miles, 13.1. But I could maybe go run half that or a quarter of that right now. So I'm going to work my way up, right? And if you noticed, I had strategically in purple, because that's me time, I have it strategically laid out of I'm running this many miles this day. I'm running this many miles this day, right? And it keeps me on track to hit my goal. It's on my vision board. My RAS is working out a way to make it happen. I've created a plan. I've strategically put it in my calendar to allow space for myself to make that happen. And then I execute the plan. Now, shit happens, guys. We know this, right? Like people get sick or schedules change, right? So we have to be able to be flexible. But the beauty is when we take our calendar and we insert the things that we know we want to do and backfill with everything else. The beauty in that is if we need to be flexible, we know we can because everything's in there. Everything's already in there. So we can see if there's gaps in time that we need to move things around. Now, this week, I'm heavier on the clients. Next week, I have maybe like 3/4 of the amount of clients that I have this week, right? But I'm a little bit heavier in my coaching business next week. And I'm a little bit heavier in family time next week. So there's going to be ebbs and flows, but I can see it at a glance. And I'm like, yeah, I'm on track. I'm on track, right? Reading. I strategically have downtime where I read, writing my book. A few times a week, I have devoted time to writing. So not only do we need to plan, but we need to work the plan. So we need to plan the work and work the plan. And in order to do that, we have to be very clear what a goal is, because if we're not anchored into the goal, the plan that we've created, we're not going to work it. We're just going to fluff it off and do something different. We're going to scroll social media for a half hour when we're supposed to be writing. We're going to hop on Facebook and look at all the reels and the funny memes instead of reading or researching for that thing that you want to be better at, right? We have to be able to plan the work and work the plan. And when we have a vision board saying, these are the things I'm so tied to, that is going to drive the work. But in order to do the work, we have to be able to plan, right? So it's cyclical. So this is how it all comes together. You start by sitting down and brain dumping those 4 quadrants. Then you take that, you create a vision for yourself and say, this is the vision board I have. These are the top things that I am really focused on this year. We allow our RAS to do the work because it's already going to happen. We don't have to do it. It's already in there, but we have to feed it, right? We have to fuel it with what we want it to focus on. Otherwise, it's going to focus on shit that we really don't want it to focus on. Okay? So we're going to do that. And then we're going to take those things and we're going to make space for it in our calendar. We're going to be planful. We're going to backfill everything else. And then we're going to work the plan. All right? This is all manifestation, vision casting. This is planning the work and working the plan. And this is how it's done. This is how I've done it for almost 3 years. I started in 2021 when I really got serious about my private practice. and I started to build that. And then in 2022, when I was my first full year as left corporate America and worked only for myself. And then this past year, where I had my second full year of working for myself, this is how I've worked it. This is how I've planned it. This is how I've executed it. And the ROI, guys, has been I have saved more, I have given more, I have supported more, I have grown more, I have invested more in me, in my family, in my people, in my tribe, and it works. We can't just willy-nilly throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. I've done that. I did it for years and I spun my wheels. We have to be clear on what we want. Then we have to, from there, create the vision, plan it out, work the plan. It's that simple. I think I just talked to a client this morning and I said to her, we're overcomplicating things. This is simple. Creating a boundary and thinking about it is simple. Executing it, we overthink it because we get emotional on it, right? Our emotion needs to be tied to the tether that we have, the anchor that we have in our goal, not the execution of the goal, right? When we plan things out, it's easy. We just go do it. Sometimes doing the work is just doing the work, right? The only thing left to do is to do. And so when we have a clear vision of what we want and we have the plan to meet the vision, all we have left to do is take action. So go take action today. Make sure that you are writing out those goals, get really clear on it, create the vision, plan it out. If you are somebody who can create this vision and cannot get yourself to the point, because this was me for a really long time, I could not get the action step, right? Like I was like, I'm taking action, but I was taking action out of fear, out of need, not out of alignment, authenticity, and intention. And if that is something that you are looking for more support on, reach out. I have courses on this. I have one-on-one connection in coaching with this. And if we're not the right fit, I will get you to the right fit because I have plenty of people in my world that do what I do and do it their way that might be better for you. So either way, guys, let me know. Send me a DM. You can always email me at thislifesofhits@gmail.com. Let me know. We're here for you. Until next time, guys, just know I love ya. Thank you for being here and go set the world on fire. See ya.